Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. A few months ago I had a couple of folks ask me if I would do a tutorial on how I do valve stems on model cars. Well, between the things of life and the fact that I'm old, I just flat forgot about it, to be honest with you guys, and so for you who asked, I apologize. But recently someone else asked me about doing valve stems on a model car, which reminded me of that. So before Hobby Dude forgets again, let's get into it. The smallest of details can oftentimes add a great deal of realism to your models. Valve stems are just one of those little things. You can add them to every kind of vehicle, from an 18-wheeler. You'll have to research it a little bit, but it's not a really hard thing to do, and we'll look at that. Mag wheels and drag wheels, vintage, motorcycle, it doesn't really matter what the subject is. Race car tires, doesn't matter what that is. There's just a lot of stuff that can just be brought to life with something as simple as a valve stem. And of course there's a lot of different varieties of valve stems. You have the standard rubberized with the core, and you also have metal. The good old standard one is one of my favorites for about every kind of car, but there are some that aluminum just look better on. And the aluminum ones are easy to replicate as well, and again we're going to take a look at all of those. And in the aluminum you'll also find they come in a variety of colors, which again that's easy to do with Tamiya transparent colors just right over the aluminum, or silver paint, whatever you decide to do. And the stem caps, now those the ones you see here, this is kind of like the one I have on my Silverado, or the ones I have on my Silverado with a Chevy emblem in them. But you've got a variety of these, and they also come in colors, so you can use your transparent paints to pop those back out as well. One of the first things you want to do is research the wheel you're looking at. This Holman & Moody racing wheel, you notice where the valve stem is located. It's on that inner lip, pointing outward. You know, a lot of the valve stems you'll see are pointing more upward. So you'll want to get the direction as well as the location correct. And here's another view of that. Now when it comes to good old mag wheels like this Krager here, or Keystone, notice the location. It's on the inner lip, pointed a little outward once again, and you notice it is between the spokes. So make sure you get your locations correct too. And like I said, the Keystone is about the same thing between the spokes. Now when it comes to racing tires, you can run into some unique and downright fun stuff. This NASCAR wheel, this one from the 90s and 2000s, you'll notice that there's two valve stems. And there was a period of time, the modern cars do not do this, but there was a period of time that there were two valve stems. You had one for the main air pressure and one for the inner liner pressure. And that varied depending on super speedway, short track, things like that. But whenever you're doing your research, just make sure you take a look at that mag wheel, whether it's on a race car, street car, whatever it is, and make sure you get it in the right place. Now the modern NASCAR, as you see here, it's located in between one of the Y spokes, and it is a little more recessed. So just be sure you research these things out. One of my favorite things to do is vintage hubcaps. I grew up in an era where hubcaps were a big thing, and they're still around, but these vintage hubcaps, they are cool. This 1940s cap, you notice in the lower left corner there, the hole where the valve stem popped through there, as well as this Mustang wheel cover, and you notice the hole there where the valve stem popped through that. Also, like these vintage artillery wheels, now note here that the valve stem is coming through one of the trim rings, or at the bottom of the trim ring there's a little notch cut in it. So be sure you research that. Make sure that you get that accurate. You could move it back a little bit and not even touch that, but if you're going to do it right. And this Steely here, you notice the same thing, just a little bit of a notch down at the bottom where the valve stem sticks out. Now, if you're thinking about those aluminum valve stems, there's several commercially available. Protec makes some beautiful ones, and these are machined aluminum, and you can get these from a variety of suppliers. And one that I have used, in fact, the Corvette that I finished last year, or year before, excuse me, were from RB Motion. And you notice these are very realistic looking, and they come in a variety of scales. You can get them from 1/24/25 all the way up to 8th scale. So these things are commercially available, and they are pretty inexpensive for 4 of them, and they are really, really well detailed. Now, let's take a look at some of the tools we're going to need, as well as some of the wheels we're going to be putting valve stems in. Okay guys, so the tools we're going to be using today are what you see right here as far as the materials for the valve stems. And we're not going to be doing any commercial aluminum. I'm going to show you how to make those as well. But some of these I don't use anymore to do this. For example, these the dial calipers I don't use because I've done them enough times that I know what sizes to use, but I got them out so you could see. Our standard valve stems that I like to use is, to be honest with you, it's just a piece of spark plug wire from Detail Master. And if you'll look, make sure everything is zeroed, it is 20 thousandths. And the aluminum, and what we're going to use for the aluminum is just a straight pin. One of the, I think they call it a flag pin or something, that's got the little ball on the end. But you'll notice here too, it's about 22 thousandths. And if you're doing a smaller scale like I did the Lumina, this beading needle, or beading wire, is what I used for that, and you can see that's considerably small. It's about 10 thousandths. But for smaller scale, you're going to need something smaller anyway. We're going to put that aside. And for these, in that they're close to the same, I know that it's a number 72 drill bit. And what that is about 22 thousandths. And the reason I use one that's just a fraction bigger is I like to paint the wheel before I install it. So if it's something like this old Holman Moody wheel or something like that, sorry about the focus, guys. I want to drill the hole first, then I want to paint it. That way it doesn't leave that big a gap. And if you go to Harbor Freight, $6.99, you get 2 packs of these things. These are absolutely great. The number 72, this green one in the middle here, and you get 2 of them per pack. And these are just the hand drills, and these things are really sharp, guys. And you see it is the number 72 size. Same thing about 7 in thousandths. Now, if you've got one that's millimeters, now this is both millimeter and inch, but if you wanted to do it in millimeter, let's zero that out. It's about 0.4, 0.5, somewhere in there. So that's spot on. And as you see, for the wire, that's 0.4. And that's just barely. And I think our pin is 5. Yeah. So that's how you can determine that. But if you can find a number 72 drill bit or one of these, that's how you determine it. Something else that's really important is our buddy Art Lasky. You can look him up online, and he carries these Scale Pro Shop dead center drill starters. These things are absolutely awesome. I use them all over a car, whether it's rivets, whether it's centering up for spark plug wires, especially these things. And let me tell you, when you start to use your drill bits, one of the last things you want to do, if you're using a nice, beautiful, now this is machined aluminum, the last thing you want to do is this thing slip and scratch up your surface. And That holds true with any of your machined aluminum wheels. You do not want these things damaged or scratched up. So that dead center drill starter is absolutely awesome. Same thing goes if you're using a chrome wheel. This brushed aluminum look, you don't want to mar that up by it sliding around. So you want to get very carefully centered up and get your start going. But that's the tools that I like to use, guys. Like I said, if you can find an old, I think it was Mascot brand number 72 drill bit in your pin vise, and as you can tell, this thing's old as the hills, but I'm still using it. And if these at Harbor Freight, that number 72, and again, that's about 22 thousandths or 5 millimeter. Perfect. And these things, like I said, are really sharp, so they'll cut through real good. All right, let's take a look at some of these wheels real quick. Now, I showed you the materials that we're going to be using for our, I like to keep this in here. Let me put this back in the bag here for a minute. Yeah, Art Lasky. Check it out. Great stuff. All right, let's take a look at a few of these wheels we're going to be looking at. And again, you're going to want to research. Now, before we get into the wheels themselves, I want to show you a couple out here that's just some of my favorites. And you've seen these on several of my bills. These are from Replicas and Miniatures Company of Maryland. Norm does an absolutely outstanding job on his research as well as just the wheels themselves. You'll notice that the wheels are drilled out. These packs come with the lugs, the caps, the white walls you see down in there at the tires. I love these things. Every now and then you'll see one of the wheels that actually has a little nub where the valve stem would be. So there's your research done for you. This one you can see a little bit better, and this is also from Norm, and it is the Hillebrand Indy style wheels, which I think on a rat rod or something like these things are killer. But absolutely awesome castings. And you see there, here's all your wheel nuts and studs, and up here you've got a bar of, if you can see them, valve stems, and those are in that other pack there too, but you've got all of that in there. So Norm does a great job. He has a lot of different tires and wheels combos too, but and these are resin cast, but these are just absolutely clean as a pin and really sharp looking wheels. So remember that. What I want to do today is just kind of shotgun it. I've got one here that's got the hubcap. This is a Fiat 500 little hubcap. And what you do is you just go online, look up the Fiat 500, take a close look at the wheels, tires, combos, whether it's a aluminum wheel or the hubcap. Take a look at it, find your location for the valve stem. And sorry about that, guys, hitting the camera there again. Sometimes you can kind of ad-lib a little bit. These Pontiac Rally wheels are from K-Dog, Kenny Shores over at Bandit Resins, and these things are just cool. And these are going to be about, well, I keep hitting the camera again there, guys, sorry. Halfway up and between the spokes again there. So we'll go take a look at that. We're also going to do a, this is a Keystone. And pulled out one of the vintage ones that I just went ahead and finished this one up. Just love that dark red. And we're going to be doing that one, remember, right through the trim ring right about there. And get a good look at that. And that's all clad, by the way. And then we'll take a look at some stock car wheels. I don't know if I'll do that one. Well, yeah, we may. That one, I saw the picture of that. I want to say it's on the second little lip up in there. I think it's right there, but I'll go back and double check that just to make sure. And then we'll do a stock car wheel. And again, the other reason you want to use that dead center starter is if you're doing chrome wheels, you don't want to mar them up just like the aluminum. So we'll do one of those. And we'll do that Holman Moody wheel there. And we'll pick one of these aluminum ones here. By the way, these big drag tire slicks, you see how deep those are? Now those are usually way back toward the back. And you're thinking, how do you drill that? Well, you drill it from back here. What you'll do is you'll take your dial caliper and you'll put the tip down in there and come out just a touch. Then you'll just make your mark on the outside here and you'll just drill through from the outside. And that way you can put your valve stem in. One like this I'd probably do, the black really stands out on that, but you could do the aluminum either way, either one. And then some of these custom, just beautiful wheels. I've had these things for a long time, and I think I got just the idea of what I want, and they're directional, as you see. Got just the idea of what to use them for. But anytime you're dressing up wheels and tires, if you're going to sand the tread, weather the tires just a touch, give them a little bit of a worn look or more realistic look, hey, add that little extra to it. Go ahead and do those valve stems. Just be a little careful. Okay, now let me reset the camera. We'll take a look at where we're going to go from here. Okay guys, before we start drilling and installing our valve stems, there are a couple things I forgot to show you. First of all, I mount the valve stems using, this is just Harbor Freight super glue gel. I have used the liquid as well. At one point I actually installed them with Elmer's glue because it dries crystal clear, and it's pretty good stuff. It's always held, but I started using this. I've been using this very inexpensive Harbor Freight super glue in both the liquid and the gel for some time, and I found that this stuff just doesn't cloud as bad or at all compared to many of the super glues out there. So if you want some inexpensive stuff, this comes in a 3 and a 10 pack. I really recommend it. It's good stuff. The other thing that I did not mention was I have a lot of these things. These panel line accent colors. I think there's about 4 other colors available, as I recall. It might be 3, but these are the ones I use on tires and wheels quite often. If I'm doing a beater or something like that, I'll use the brown accent liner for the recesses in the hubcaps or wheels. Most of the time I use the dark gray and the black, and I'll show you the reason I do that is around the tip of the valve stem it gives some depth to it. This is a hubcap right off the sprue, or a wheel right off of a sprue, and this is one that has the accent liner in it as well as the valve stem installed. And as you see on the bottom down there, if I can get it at the right angle, you see the valve stem sticking up there. And that little wash gives it a lot of depth, and you can, well, if I'll stop dropping stuff, you'll see the difference from a stock as well as just one right off the sprue. I think it makes a huge difference. Something else I went ahead and had done was this set of drag wheels. These are aluminum. I went ahead and did an aluminum valve stem in this one, as you see there. And for the rear, for the contrast, I used the, let's see if I can get the light right on it. Yeah, there you go. I just used a standard black. Now with this one, you'll also notice I left the core of the wire, kind of skinned it back a little bit, where you can see the kind of brass tip. Hopefully you can see that. I can see it at the top, like the cap wasn't screwed back on. So if you're doing an outdoor beater or something like that, or just a junker, you can leave that valve cap off, skin that back a little bit, and there you go. So it looks like the cap's been left off of it. But if you wanted to replicate a cap, a little bit of a bulge, take you some black paint on a toothpick and just touch the end, make you a little ball of paint up there. But that shows you the difference in the black as well as the aluminum. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start drilling out some of these. Of course, I'm going to pop the tires off of some of these to get them done. We're going to do our Krager, and then we'll do a wash down in there. Our Pontiac Rally, that beauty. love that. I did not do the wash on this yet deliberately so you could see what it looks like, but around all of these bolt heads and the lugs and the center hub, I think this is really going to pop. But we'll get that taking a look at. Same thing with our old vintage wheel there. And we've got a racing wheel that does not have any of the wash or anything on it yet either. And then we've got our, and I was wrong on this, guys, it's a smart car wheel. But we did our research, found out where the valve stem is on these, so we'll be getting these done. And I've got a Holman and Moody here. Yeah, here we go. An old Holman and Moody wheel. We'll get that one. And we've already looked at some of those pictures research-wise, so we know where the valve stem it needs to go and the angle it needs to go at. And this is one of those old modified wheels, so we'll be doing that one as well. So let me set the camera up, and I'm going to speed it up a little bit so y'all can watch the process, and then we'll start installing. Okay. Huge apologies, guys. In the last video you saw where I was marking and drilling out the wheels for the valve stems, and the next video that was coming up was the actual installation of the valve stems. Sadly, I did that and I thought I had hit the record button on the camera, but I didn't. So sorry about that, but I do want to show you the wheels now that they're done. Here's a couple of pictures of, these are staged pictures of with the tweezers and me actually putting them in. But anyway, all right, as you see here, let's go ahead and take a look at them. Once again, right where we started, here's those wheels. That's your stock. This one's with the wash and the valve stem. And of course those aluminum, that's got the aluminum valve stem, and that's got the standard on it, and that's on the aluminum wheels. Let's start with these just plain Jane. Like I said, normally I would drill these out and I would paint them the color I wanted them to be, but I thought this bare plastic would be pretty good for you to see the contrast. And some of these old Holman Moody wheels were actually white on a number of the cars. But you see how just that touch of a wash down at the base gives it a little more definition. And this is one of those old dirt modified tires, or excuse me, wheels. You see, that just adds a lot to it. This would be a good one to put some of that brown panel liner down in there like dirt, mud. Here is our smart car wheel cover, hubcap type thing. You see the valve stem. Let's get right down there at the bottom. And there's our vintage wheel. Sorry about not keeping them focused, guys. Now these, none of them, I have not put a touch of either silver or black for a valve cap. So you can see that little stem sticking up. But I think it adds just a beautiful amount of realism to it. There's our stock car wheel. If you remember how starkly chrome that was, kind of like the Parts Tree rally wheel there. And when you get the wash on it, you get to see, there's your valve stem, and that's got just that little touch of, really light touch of the panel liner on it too, around the base. But when you get that wash down in all of the recesses and around the lugs, it really, really brings them out. And there's that modernized Pontiac rally wheel. This one I didn't put a wash on. I could have, and I may go back along the edges, give it a little more depth. And this is one of those that I actually installed the valve stem from this side. Put just a little bit of glue on the other end, slid it through so that the back end would be there. And because that's so smooth, as you see, I don't know if I can get the reflection just right, but really cool wheel, really cool wheel. That keystone, and note down in there around the lugs where there's a little bit of a wash there, that really made that pop. And again, around the base of the valve stem just a little bit. That chrome is not letting you see it very well, is it? And then lastly, this monster. And you know, we'd mentioned we're going to put a wash around the lugs and all of these heads. Now look how much more that pops compared to how it was. And that's a pretty brilliant chrome there too. In fact, the chrome's so good you almost can't see the valve stem down there at the bottom. There it is. But yeah, it just adds a little extra to them, just like a real car would be. And that's always a good thing to add. But that's the way Hobby Dude does his valve stems. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. And by all means, if y'all have a different way of doing it, a better way of doing it, your technique, hey, I wouldn't mind hearing it. I'm always up for learning anything. I still, in this hobby and in everything in life, I'm still learning. And I love it. I love it. But this is the way I do it. And again, share your method if you want to. And any thoughts and ideas are greatly appreciated. Guys, something I haven't mentioned in a long time is the Teespring store, or the Spring store, where we have our t-shirts, coffee mugs, all that kind of stuff. I am getting ready. I've already designed, but I haven't got them on there yet. Some Hippie Dude items as well. I know some people ask, why didn't Hippie Dude have a t-shirt or something like it? So I'm working on something. One of them is the Hippie Dude hot sauce t-shirt as well. But do check out the Spring store, and we truly appreciate that. All right, guys, that's it for this one. We've got another update on the Mustang coming up, probably later this week. Got a lot of stuff around the farm I got to get done, but we'll be again doing that. And I've got something else. I don't remember what it is, but it's in the works too. Hey guys, again, I hope this was helpful. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.